Hey, welcome to another video by Microlytics. In this video, we are going to be discussing how to plan and execute a successful Google Tag Manager implementation. This talk will be given by Hussein Mahmood.
Hi everyone. So my name is Hussein. I run a consultancy called Marketlytics. One of the things that we've done actually a lot over the last 5 years is work with Tag Manager. And a common question that we have in Tag Manager is how how do we actually leverage Tag Manager in a way that it delivers all the benefits that people expect. So I thought I'd sort of give you an introduction to how we help folks leverage a tag manager and the process that we go through to make sure that it's successful. So the topic that I'm going to talk about, and it's like a bit of a cheeky title, is using sort of tag manager without developers. This is a bit of a misnomer because you cannot really use tag manager without developers. You need tag managers, developers to support you in implementing like the initial changes, but you can make it in a structure it in a way that you end up using or you end up like pinging your developers less often as you sort of go through the process. So we're going to start with the idea of why use tag manager and what what tag manager is. So tag manager itself is like a way to catalog your tags. So we're going to sort of jump into this idea there. So primarily, Tag Manager is a way to manage your tags. It makes it very simple to organize your tags and like document all the different marketing related pixels that you're using on your website. So it's a good way to sort of have a catalog of everything. Plus, it's an easy way to just organize where things are available. So this is like sort of the main point, but there's I think there's definitely like some discussion to be had about who needs Tag Manager and when it's relevant. So primarily, Tag Manager is a good fit for you if you have multiple different marketing platforms that you're working with. So if you are a website that works, that advertises on like Facebook, AdWords, other platforms, and also has Google Analytics and other pixels, then Tag Manager might be a good way to kind of go about it. And we're going to discuss why this is a good reason. But generally, if you I think a rule of thumb would be that if you have like multiple different marketing platforms that you work with, then Tag Manager would be a good fit. So the common use cases of like having a tag management solution is you can use Tag Manager to not only organize the tags that you have, but also sort of simplify the governance of who's responsible for what, who has asked for like something to be implemented. And it's also a very, very easy way to optimize or simplify like how quickly you can sort of run experiments. So an example of that is you heard about this very cool new platform that's just become popular in your niche, and you want to use that platform on your website. So the current general process would be that you would build a spec, you would send that to your developer, they'll have other priorities, and then they'll tell you this could be done in like 3 weeks or a year. Hopefully not a year, but 3 weeks or closer to that, right? And then you wait for that, then it gets implemented, and then you finally maybe like a month or two later, once you've sort of verified everything, it works. With Tag Manager, the idea is that you do some work upfront to plan what you would need for most platforms, and then iterate on that going forward. So it's a good way to sort of future-proof the setup. It's a good way to sort of quickly experiment with new platforms, and typically it's a good way to have the marketing sort of be involved in doing some of the technical changes that are relevant to their domain. Cool. So the main sort of idea and the way Tag Manager works extremely well is that within Tag Manager, the data that you're using and the data the different platforms use is extremely similar. So the information that is available or that is being used by Facebook versus Google, Google Ads or Bing or other platforms, it's really the same information, just sort of being repurposed for their platform. So when I say like the same information, that information comes down to a few attributes about either the page they are on, or the product they're looking at, or the person that's viewing that product. So it's really a bunch of metadata about like the product name, the product price, maybe the brand, what page they're on. So if they're on a category page, on a search page, and then lastly, any attributes about the user. So maybe their email address, name, location, and things of that nature. So because this information is some sort of generalized across all these different platforms, once you implement it once, you can sort of use it for all the platforms. And this is what Tag Manager makes extremely easy, because it would allow you to collect that information once, and have it cataloged, that what information is available and at what point in the process, and then uh, you know make it very, very easy that you, without touching the code itself, you can sort of add that same information to other places. Cool. So yeah. So to start with, like, the exercise that we're going to do is we're going to build a data map. So the data map is one way to sort of think about what information is available on your website and at what point in the process does it become available. So if you think of your website, and most e-commerce sites are like built as a funnel. So you start with the home page, you go to the search, you go to a product, and then from that you get into the checkout, and then making a purchase. So at each point in that flow, you have some information about the product available, and then as you sort of incrementally go further into the funnel, the information that you have available is effectively increased, right? So initially you may only know about what product the person is looking at, or even the category that they're looking at, and then when you get to the product page, you may have like other information about what their brand was, or what the what other information is. And if they select, let's say, if they're adding something to cart, they'll also select their variant. So you'll actually know precisely what the price of that variant was, and you can sort of pass that information into your data map. So this exercise, and and you can sort of see that in the slides, is just building that process, and documenting like what information is available and where. And it's also an exercise in just like validating sort of technical effort in doing something like this, right? So the idea is that if you have multiple platforms, or if you're working on your platform, you can ask your developers and involve them in this exercise to figure out what information would be available at what point, and how easy is it to get that information. Cool. So yeah, so if you look at that data map, we have pages, and then for each of those pages we have different types of information that becomes available. uh, and then from that, you effectively just have this information availability. Further you go down into the funnel, and this could be applied to like other websites as well. But for an e-commerce, I think this is a very good sort of way to think of the data map. Awesome. So yeah, so sort of the next step is that just like setting expectations is extremely important. So when you start with, there is going to be some work involved in planning what is needed, and how to actually get the right resources to do this work. And you may need to like internally sort of convince people. And generally the way to sort of explain this value prop is the upfront effort pays for itself over time, when you don't have to do things repeatedly. Cool. So to making sure that this is successful, you need to plan, and like plan a lot. You have to like talk to people. You have to like make sure that everyone is sort of on the same page. Everyone understands that there's like some level of effort involved in it, and then use that to actually have champions, not only in your marketing team but also in the development or technical team, who understand the benefits of doing this. I think so. One of the good ways to sort of explain this to the developers is that this is like, for them, this makes their job a lot more predictable. So instead of like having marketing like show up every couple of days and asking for a new tag, they can do the work up front, and then not have to worry about uh, incremental changes, or like having to like prioritize things when they're already in some sprint doing some work.